Hi, I'm David Manti, and welcome to a new episode of the Today in Manufacturing podcast. With me today are Jeff Ranke and Anna Wells. We're the editors of manufacturing.net and Industrial Equipment News, and we've been doing this a really long time, so you should listen to what we have to say. Every week, we cover the three biggest stories in manufacturing and discuss the implications they have on the industry going forward. Before we get started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You could also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast platform you use. Finally, if you want to email the podcast, you can reach any of us at Jeff, Anna, or David at IEN.com with email the podcast in the subject line. We're also live every Thursday at 2 p.m., so subscribe to us on YouTube at IEN Magazine so you can get a notification whenever we go live. Jeff, how you doing this week?
I'm pretty good, David. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You know, is it ever problematic for you when we're doing this during March Madness? And they
every single time.
Every time. And why
every
is it
single time
the Badgers play like the minute we go live?
I don't know. Just lucky, I guess.
I know. It's luckily the walls to the studio are not so thick that we can't hear the cheering and just kind of like think, is that good cheering? Is that bad?
It'll be good.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
It'll be good. Anna, how you doing this week?
Good. It's fun to be in March Madness week because everyone gets like super hyped up, and I don't know anything about basketball, so I'm just like when a little kid is like watching sports and they're just like doing what everyone else is doing. Yay.
Oh, I know. I feel the same way. Like this is definitely, basketball is definitely my like quote, yay sport. Yeah. Where I'm just like, hey, we're all having a good time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's all enjoy this together with
that
pizza and wings.
Yeah. That went in the hoop.
Yeah.
I know that's good.
I know yeah. That's a ball and he's dribbling it. Good. All right. Jeff's just
You're not wrong.
I know. I heard there's some sort of controversy about overinflated balls. And like I learned about that right before we came in here. I'm like, wait, what?
I haven't heard this one.
Oh, man. Can't wait to dig in. All right. Well, before we jump into our first story, we have another word from our sponsor, Interpower. This week's episode is brought to you by Interpower. Why pay more for power cords when you don't have to? Made in the U.S.A., our cords are made from the best raw materials and undergo rigorous testing. Need reliable power cords? Get them with no minimum orders. Why play cord roulette with imports? We're on a roll, tariff-free cords by Interpower. You can help us out a lot by going to interpower.com/Today in Manufacturing podcast. We actually don't have that, but like if you talk to a human, say you heard about it on the Today in Manufacturing podcast. We'll get the URL in a minute. All right, our first story this week. Honda kills 3 EV models that were scheduled for U.S. production. Honda has canceled the development and market launch of the Honda Zero SUV, the Honda Zero Saloon, and Acura RSX. All 3 were supposed to enter production at the automaker's EV hub in Ohio. Last year, Honda showed off, quote, near production designs at CES 2025. Now the company says the production and sales in our current business landscape, in which EV demand is plummeting, would likely result in long-term losses. Still, those near-term losses are going to be pretty huge. Honda now expects to take a $15.7 billion hit as part of the company's first annual loss in nearly 70 years. Honda has been leaning on mostly stable gas and hybrid sales to transition toward a more carbon-neutral strategy, but then enter the tariffs. Now, even the company's traditional vehicle business is taking a hit from tariffs and declining product competitiveness in China, where consumer demands have shifted away from hardware features like fuel efficiency and cabin space toward more flexible, software-defined features. So, Stellantis took a $26 billion EV hit and sold a $1 billion factory for $100. Now Honda takes a $15.7 billion hit. Anna, are you surprised that these automakers are like wholly abandoning the EV ship so swiftly?
I'm not, only because I don't think that right now they feel like they have a better option, unfortunately. I mean, they're heading into a new year that's, as you mentioned, some of the barbs that are facing auto manufacturers. They can't knowingly go into the market with new models that they just don't think people are going to buy. Mm-hmm. So you have that. I mean, they're just kind of taking it as it goes, I guess, at this moment. It's not to say that there's not a future for EVs eventually, but I do feel a little bit of sympathy for the automakers in this scenario, because I feel like this is what happens when your product line is so beholden to a shifting regulatory environment. I mean, you look at the political, the political system that we're in right now in the U.S., these two sides seem to be really diametrically opposed on this issue of whether to use fossil fuels or not. And then you're just putting these automakers' product development on this pendulum, and suddenly your strategy and your profitability is really subject to whoever is in office and their whims and what they want to do. So I think like everyone's saying that EV sales were declining. They actually weren't before the cancellation of the tax credit and before the cancellation of the infrastructure projects. And before the CAFE standards went in the other direction in terms of what fossil fuels you could allow in existing vehicle fleets. So I think this happened in many ways because policy decisions were made. And it's not lost on me that it also started because of a policy decision, right?
Right.
But I think that speaks to the need to be a little bit more cohesive and strategic with these policies that heavily impact major job creators here in the U.S. Because, as you mentioned, people are losing their jobs over this. People are losing their bonuses at Stellantis over this. Factories are getting shut down. Partnerships are getting dissolved. I mean, there's a lot that went into this, and big write-downs are taking place now. There's just a huge blowback from this issue, which I feel like it could have been handled in a better way. And so if there comes a time where you see companies looking for a bailout because of how they've been impacted by the nonsense of all this, you kind of don't blame them. I mean, it's tough to be where they are.
Well, and JTTV, who's watching us, says it's a short-sighted move. And I tend to agree. And you talk about this political pendulum swinging, but I feel like we're more in the story where like each parent grabs a side of the kid, but instead we're just tearing the kid in half repeatedly, and we're not really learning anything from it. Okay, so Jeff, industry analysts were surprised that things got so bad for Honda that it outright killed its EVs instead of just scaling back production. Do you think Honda made the right move here?
Well, first of all, they're making this from a production perspective. They're cutting way back, okay? And I understand that, but when we look at some of these numbers, I don't think it's a full $15 billion hit because there's still some salvageable resources that they can get from that, okay? So that's a bit dramatic, but it does help illustrate the point. And I think part of this is automakers are making a very somewhat rash decision in just axing these models, okay? But they also have to do something to stop the bleeding a little bit. Now, the political landscape has obviously impacted things here. The tone has changed in terms of the support there was for all the EVs. But the market has also spoken here. The market has also said, look, without these additional incentives, we've got a lot of reservations. I think it's an overcorrection by a lot of these companies in terms of looking at it and saying, well, sales are down, so we're cutting.
Yeah.
They haven't fallen off the table. They're lesser. They are. They are not hitting projections. And like I said, the market has spoken here. But I think what's really happening with a lot of the things from a political perspective and the tone that's been said is, like a lot of things, they were looking more short term as opposed to the bigger picture. And that's some of the things that Anna was commenting on make a lot of sense. But this also feeds into a lot of these conversations we're having about affordability. When you look at vehicles right now, it is crazy how expensive they've got. And a lot of that is offsetting some of these big hits that have come from EV models that now they cannot take to market after all the R&D that they've done on them, okay? When you're looking at these two companies in a combination of $42 billion, that's got to come from someplace. A lot of industry analysts are saying, well, there should be a drop in prices right now because they're going to want to get rid of some of these models. No one is seeing that.
Yeah.
The average cost of a vehicle is through the roof. Just to offer a little perspective, if you had to guess, if you had $1 in 2010, how much would that dollar be worth right now in 2026? Roughly, you're looking at inflation and everything. Do you have any guess?
73 cents.
I have no idea.
$1.50. Okay.
Wait.
So if you had $1, it'd be worth $1.50 now in terms of when you're going to buy something.
Oh.
Make sense?
No, I figured it would have gone the other way because of inflation.
No, that $1 in 2010 is the same as $1.50 now because of inflation.
Gotcha.
Takes $1.50 to buy a dollar's worth of 2010.
Understood. So I thought like if you're taking that same dollar, then it would be
okay. $1.50.
Totally off. I'm not totally off.
We're not going to question your math ever, David. Okay.
I don't need to get it. I just need to understand it.
So, but when you apply that same math to the average price of a vehicle in 2010, we're looking at about $25,000. So by today's numbers, that should be somewhere around $40,000. It's $10,000 more than that. The average price of a new vehicle right now is in the upper $40,000 to $50,000.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that is driven by the fact that we're looking at trucks and SUVs. But we can also look at the average price of a used vehicle being over $30,000. Where I'm going with all of this is when we look at how all these things are going to impact the vehicle marketplace, automakers have to come back around and figure out a lower cost option for folks, okay? If they're going to be spending they basically said the EVs aren't going to work. We need to sell more vehicles that people are going to buy, but they're being priced so high for all the reasons that have been talked about here in terms of the raw materials, the tariffs, political landscape, whatever you want to talk about, the lack of incentives. Well, at some point, they need to offer consumers a more affordable vehicle. I think a lot of the fallout from this is going to be automakers circling back and offering at least one sedan that they can actually put out on the market for $30,000 for a new vehicle so that people can afford them, even at a used car level, bringing that price down a little bit.
Well, and I think part of that played into the EV move because Honda did say that they thought EVs would sort of be the optimal solution for that, not only to help the company realize its carbon neutrality goals, but fit that small size mobility category. Do you think Honda also mentioned that they're going to lean more into hybrids, right? Do you think everyone is course correct, like hedging by going back into hybrids? Or Anna, do you think that hybrids were just the logical next step that we kind of tried to skip to go all in on EVs right away?
I think there are a lot of hybrids on the market before that. There have been for the last 20 years or so. But I do think that it's important to note that if people aren't ready to go all in on EVs, and again, we have noted that there are some infrastructure issues that are not quite worked out, that have not eased people's minds in order to make that purchase. That there are still a ton of very price sensitive consumers out there. We've learned that in the last couple of weeks as oil prices have driven gas like way up. People are freaking out.
Oh, I know. It's even in the office. We had our first official, everyone sat down in the office and did you see gas this morning?
Right. And my point is, like, if a week or two in, you're already panicking about gas prices being up temporarily, and we don't know how long they're going to be up, obviously, but that just goes to show how sensitive people are to those increases. And so I think, I don't think people want to drive gas guzzlers just because they don't want to drive pure EVs. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Jeff, of the names that we've heard in the automotive industry, the Saloon? The Honda Saloon? You're going to name a car after a bar? I think that's a miss, right? What are they thinking? Does Saloon mean something else?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so going back to their carbon neutral goals, they said that Honda wants to be carbon neutral, all products, all corporate activities by 2050. And when I read that, I kind of thought, like, you know what? You still have to have a company to have a carbon neutral company. And so I understand that if you got to make drastic cuts, like, it's okay to scale back your lofty goals to make sure you...
I think one of the things that's tougher, too, with these EVs is they're more difficult to scale. It's tougher to just cut back production because a lot of those raw materials, all the stuff that you're looking at with the batteries, with the lithium and the copper and everything else that you're dealing with there, and they're trying to explore some different battery technologies, but that's a ways off, too.
Yeah.
So,
well, and they did explicitly blame, like, changing U.S. policy as to why they accelerated the transition to EVs. And then that just kind of like mixed with this decline in profitability of these gas and hybrid models due to tariffs. And so like Honda and I think a lot of automakers are in a real rough spot right now. And it'll be interesting to kind of like track where it goes from here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the way, Saloon is like a UK term for sedan.
Oh, is it really?
So that's not the name of the vehicle. I think the vehicle is the Zero.
Okay.
And then the Saloon is the type. I don't know why they used that specific phrasing for it in the U.S., but...
Yeah, no, that's got to be... There's lost in translation there. Either way, you can't have Saloon. The Honda Bar.
Yeah.
The Honda Dive Bar Zero runs on fumes. All right. Our next most popular story. I think that is a fun fact. So Saloon means sedan.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. The more you know. Can we get the rainbow, producer Eric? Thank you. All right. Yamaha ditches California for Georgia. Yamaha Motors' U.S. subsidiary is relocating its headquarters from Southern California to Kennesaw, Georgia. The maker of motorcycles, robotics, and marine and power products said late last month that the move will begin at the end of this year and be completed by the end of 2028. Yamaha Motor U.S. intends to sell all fixed assets owned by the company in Cypress, California. That includes the land, the offices, and the warehouses. The Japanese company expects the move to help combat tariffs by improving efficiency and profitability in the U.S. market. Yamaha has maintained a corporate headquarters in California for nearly 50 years. It acquired the land back in 1978 and opened its offices in 79. 20 years later, Yamaha moved its marine business to Kennesaw, and its motorsports division relocated to the state in 2019. It currently employs thousands of people in Georgia, including a 1.3 million square foot plant in Noonan with about 2,000 employees. All that remains in Cypress are corporate functions and financial services sitting on a site that's more than 25 acres. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp said Tuesday that Yamaha's decision to move came after a meeting between the governor and Yamaha executives in October, and this is last Tuesday. He also took the opportunity to pitch other companies, particularly those in California, on relocating to the Peach State. Anna, this feels more to me like a move that's the last piece of a strategic puzzle rather than bailing over bad taxes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first and most obvious point is that corporate functions and financial services do not need to sit on a 25-acre site.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this had to have been, I mean, the writing was sort of on the wall for this, I would say.
Maybe they had like some sort of internal athletic complex also there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were doing with that. Because they said that some of the land there was undeveloped as well. So it's like, I mean,
like a hiking trail.
What do you need that for? Yeah. I like that they used move to combat tariffs as the reason for moving from one U.S. location to another. That was sort of strange to me, I thought. I think the reality, what they're not saying so explicitly, is that they were cutting costs, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like a little bit of an excuse to cast blame on tariffs in that scenario. It just felt a little bit weird to me.
Yeah.
But the other thing you need to look at, I think, is that this company has long been fragmented because of all of its business units in this division also being in Georgia. Mm-hmm. So it made sense maybe also from a cost perspective, but more so statements made by the company that this was always sort of part of the plan, at least eventually. And so this narrative that Brian Kemp came in and sat down and wooed them out of California.
Let's make a deal.
Yeah, they were kind of have the space waiting, and it made sense.
Seems like the logical last step to a gradual move to Georgia that started, I don't know, in 99.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also notable, I think, that Yamaha Corporation, which is the parent company that makes musical instruments, your sweet keyboards.
Yeah.
They're located in California,
mm-hmm.
and they're not moving, they said. So I don't know. To me, this just felt more strategic than this knee-jerk reaction to tariffs. It was just weirdly positioned in the article. So I don't really know why they felt like they had to say that.
It was in the velvet bag that you normally use in Scrabble, but it's filled with corporate scapegoats, and they just threw their hand in and they're like, we're going to go with tariffs.
Yeah. And it certainly stands to reason that California is a more expensive place to operate.
Yeah.
And so if they do need to cut costs, maybe they decided this is the time to pull the pin. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast, that companies are doing this. They're making moves earlier than they thought they had to.
Yeah.
Possibly. Well, but there's other benefits to being there as well. And, they're pitching this site that they're trying to sell and lease back as being really strategically located from a port perspective, very easy to get goods in and out, very easy for import export. So, you have that as well.
Well, and we've covered it in a number of stories with these companies relocating. Just the value of the land they're sitting on, is really, they're looking at selling that asset as kind of a windfall of cash as well. So Jeff, Yamaha now, Chevron, SpaceX, Tesla, and John Paul Mitchell have all moved out of California, and others have seemingly started this process. Does California need to start changing its tune to still open for business?
I think there's a little bit too much hubris, to be honest. California is the biggest manufacturing state, over 1.3 million manufacturing jobs there, but Texas is closing in. Georgia's a top 10 manufacturing state in terms of jobs. They're also losing on the fact when you look at the cost per product exported out of the state, not just internationally, but just going out, because it is so expensive to produce goods there, the value isn't there. The margins aren't as high as someplace else, like Georgia, like Texas, like anywhere else. So I do think they need to stop being like, well, this is just one. We still got all these others. It's not a big deal because this isn't a tech company. This isn't an Elon Musk company that's leaving. This is a transportation company. And I guess I wouldn't look so quickly to move past, well, it's just the corporate headquarters, because there's a lot of marketing that goes into that. For California or any state to be able to say, Yamaha's, corporate headquarters for this division is located here, that is a big deal. And that does impact supply chains, and that does impact other decisions that other manufacturers might make. And whenever somebody with any type of notoriety leaves like this and goes someplace else, not overseas, I think it does make everybody else go, what are we still doing here?
Yeah.
Because as we've talked about, California has a lot of challenges for manufacturing out there. The biggest thing that keeps people there right now is the fact that it is seen as having a very strong labor force. These are very kind of true, tested, excellent manufacturing employees out there. Well, everybody else is catching up too.
Yeah.
We've seen a focus on STEM and the trades. So Georgia, Texas, all these other folks, Wisconsin, we are catching up. So I think California needs to start looking more closely at these things if they want to, I don't know if I'd say stop the bleeding, but stop the trickle of people leaving, because at some point it's become more than that.
Yeah, like make it less like don't let the door hit you on the way out, to just like, hey, what can we do to keep you happy?
Exactly.
Is this real though? Are they really like, see ya, we're California, we don't care? Like, is that what's really happening?
I don't know. I guess that is a really good point. That is more of a stereotype than
if they're not changing.
Yeah.
To me, that's for them to have no response back to all of the criticisms that they do get when people leave. Now, in this case, they're playing tariffs, but we know that's not really the case. Whenever somebody else is left, some of the bigger tech companies, some of the other manufacturers, they have said it is too expensive. This is not a business-friendly climate. This is a difficult place to operate. And when you see places like Savannah, who has done a ton in terms of investing in their port so they can have everybody in the Atlanta or southern Georgia area having a great port in terms of global access, other places in the Carolinas as well, putting money into these areas to try to draw more manufacturing, you have to do something. There has to be some sort of response, in my opinion, so that other people aren't thinking about it.
True. And I do go back a little bit to how it seems like this process started, more than like 26 years ago now. Whereas like with some of the other ones that seem like have been hasty, politically motivated decisions to leave the state, this one definitely seems more to me like, okay, this was the last piece to move. So I could understand if this, maybe the fight for Yamaha happened 20 or 25 years ago, and this is just was already in motion. But I do think that the state could do a lot more in terms of promoting itself as a manufacturing-friendly state. The other thing I wanted to note is that Yamaha has got to make some tough choices across the board. It wasn't as popular of a story, but kind of we also reported this week that Yamaha is closing down its golf products business. I don't know if you noticed this, but the company has to kill this business, including manufacturing, planning, development, and sales, and that's all going to start in June. Yamaha said that it was because of, quote, increasingly challenging business environments due to intensified competition and falling profits because of a rise in raw material costs. Yamaha anticipates a $12.5 million in restructuring expenses, and this is a part of the business that goes back to 1982.
What is the golf products business? I've never
heard of this.
Yeah, no, it was so apparently Yamaha is big in golf and shutting it down because it was like this news broke late February, and we covered it just because it's another major manufacturer leaving California. Sure. But as I was looking into it, I'm like, wait a second. They're also killing their golf business. And Nolan pursued that story, and Nolan Beilstein, frequent contributor to the podcast. They're just like, hey, material costs gone up. Golf's dying, and it's going to be quickly. They said that, they're still going to support their products that they got out in the market, but it's gone.
So they make golf carts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, What do they make? Golf bags, golf balls, golf gloves? Like, what? What is golf business? Now I get it.
I think there was more to it than that. He had specific products in that story. I don't have the link here that they were talking about sporting, but yeah, it's
look like nice golf carts.
a real nice to have.
Real nice to have.
You know, when when you're summering in an RV park, you know. Did you guys plan to retire that way?
Mm-hmm.
Just
to an RV park?
Yeah.
Just gonna live in the villages and drive a Yamaha golf car.
That's right. That's right. Like a golf cart or ATV was driving down the highway like while it was snowing, and one of my kids was just like, "What's going on there?" I'm like, "They're living the dream right there." It is a Monday afternoon, and they're in a golf cart on a highway. They're living their best life. All right. Our next would we have that? What was that comment there, producer Eric? No, from Josh. What does Josh say? Josh says, "Oh yeah, it's tariffs, not the fact that California has began taxing outrageous prices to any business that the representatives can't make money off of." And we have many, many, many similar comments that all say the same. Just package Josh et al.
Et al.
Et al. All right. Our most popular story this week was a bit of a surprise for me. Seafood robotics company buys Washington State processing plant. And just the imagination went wild with this one when I only saw the headline first. I'm like, ooh, seafood robotics.
That's why it was the top story.
I know. Just real good. Well done, Andy Zoll, I believe. I believe this is his. A Southern California, quote, seafood robotics company recently bought a facility in Washington State and plans to make it its first processing plant. Shinkai Systems says the 16,000 square foot facility in Tacoma will be a, quote, strategic hub for the seafood industry, on the West Coast anyways. And it's also going to allow the company to scale its, quote, ceremony grade fish nationwide. Shinkai, which means nerves or nerve in Japanese, says ceremony grade represents the, quote, highest quality wild-caught seafood produced through an end-to-end tech stack of robotics, tracking, and storage practices. The Tacoma plant, officials said, would allow it to maintain quality control from catch through processing. The plant is expected to open this new plant this spring with a staff of more than 50, and that's going to grow as the peak fishing season comes online. Shinkai co-founder and CTO Reed Ginsburg said, quote, our own ceremony grade plant allows us to scale responsibly while preserving the flavor, texture, shelf life, and traceability that defines seafood at its absolute best. He also said that they will honor the integrity of each fish. Anna, do you think customers care about the fish integrity or Michelin quality, which they also boast? Or do you think, especially right now, they only care about cost?
I do think it's a bit of a mix. One of those kind of careful lines that you have to toe. But first, I want to say that I felt a little bit burned by this headline because seafood robotics sounded super cool to me. And then when I found out it was a seafood company that uses robotics, I was like, oh, I thought there was a swimming robot involved.
Oh, it's like, I mean...
That you could also eat. Like, oh. I don't know, you know.
All right. I didn't see that angle.
Seafood.
But he's not saying there's logic to this.
Yeah.
It was just the...
But I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then, but, I mean, it's interesting anyway. And
yeah,
I do appreciate the investment by this company in this end-to-end tech stack of robotics tracking and storage practices. We've seen some pretty egregious examples of food safety issues in the last year. I mean, we always do, but deli meats, cheese, baby formula, some just really nasty stuff happening.
Yeah.
And so I think this company is making a very wise decision to proactively, keep meticulous track of its product. There is a financial benefit to them as well when it comes to, traceability there. But outside of this, Reed Ginsburg, the CTO, who you mentioned, he speaks to that goal of honoring the integrity of each individual fish, which I do think many consumers do want in this age of backlash over factory farms and food waste and the stuff that, people are expecting in certain market segments anyway, people are expecting a little bit higher grade and a better experience. And nobody wants to think about, chickens stuffed in a cage
where they can't move.
Can't
even
and
stand.
Yeah. I mean, I think in there are many consumers that are like really willing to pay to move past that, and spend their money thusly. But I think the challenge for, how do you say it? Shinkai.
Yeah.
The challenge for Shinkai will be marketing that, right?
Yeah.
They're making a big investment here. They want to be top of the line seafood. I think sometimes meat and seafood can become a bit of an anonymous commodity type item unless you are very forward and front and center with your branding and your marketing, so they know who you are and where it came from. Otherwise, they don't, and they just see the high price tag and they think, well, why would I pay for that? So
and I have to say that they do make a very compelling case, right? Because as the current fishing industry stands, the way that they harvest this fish, they're able to deliver a fish that is higher quality, tastes better because of their practices. Now, Jeff, at first, when I was reading the story, I was very skeptical. But like, I am really starting to nibble at this hook. I really like this idea. Did you look into their...
Must have been the clickbait in the headline.
It is, but you know what? I think I'm going to go hook, line, and sinker on this one. Because I don't know if you had a chance to visit this company's website, but if everything they're doing can be fully realized, I do think that they could revolutionize the fishing industry.
I think everything makes sense. This whole Poseidon,
the Poseidon boat
harvesting contraption and technology,
because they're really
pretty
close.
incredible. And I would disagree with all of the concepts when it comes to seafood and cost. You might try something that's lower cost to see it, but if it doesn't taste right, that's scorched earth.
Oh yeah, no, it's
like consumers. I mean, we eat a lot of seafood. We buy a lot of salmon. We buy a lot of haddock, all that kind of stuff. Trust me, I will pay more for a higher quality product. And I think most people. But
do you know do you know you're getting the same product every time when you do that? If you're just at the deli counter or whatever, like, how do you know where that came from? That's what I mean, is like, it can be a very anonymous place to be if you're in the food industry, is behind that deli counter.
But that's what's cool about this, because once they capture the fish and they humanely harvest it, which is also a very interesting process to get into and read up on how they go about doing that.
Oh, I'm going to get into it.
But then there's already before the fish is even processed, it's sold. It's amazing. So there's no overfishing, which is a huge issue right now. The way it's processed keeps it fresh, so it preserves a lot of those margins, because I think the seafood buyer will pay more for it. And it also takes a lot of that pressure off of, to your point, Anna, the wholesaler or the retailer, because they can constantly be providing. You're right, the consumer, I don't know who caught the salmon that I buy at Costco. I just know when I go to Costco, I pay more for it, but it tastes better.
You get better salmon, yeah.
It's better stuff. So this process takes that out. Plus the fact that this is a 16,000 foot processing facility. That's small. That is tiny to potentially handle the amount of fish that's flying through there. But because of all the efficiencies with this process in terms of the way the fish are harvested, the way they're cleaned on the vessel, the way it's already pre-sold and off to market, it's incredible. Yeah. I mean, this is as close as you could get to actually hauling it in off your boat and going up and cleaning it and eating it for supper. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Well, it is, because if you fish at all and clean fish and eat them, I feel like it ruins the entire seafood industry for you, because you do realize how not fresh so much fish on the market is, where you're just like, and how expensive it is, for the price of a pole and some tackle and some bait, you bring home a much better dinner. Takes a lot longer, sometimes not as successful. But it's part of the reason that I pretty much stopped buying seafood from the store. We basically get it when we harvest it ourselves, or if we do a fishing chart or something like that. But now looking into this, Anna, you were talking about, you wanted to see a robot boat. They're almost there. So basically they invented, it's like this box, and this box sits on the ship. And part of it is, if you think of fish being harvested, right? You think of the huge net coming off over the side of the boat, basically piling all the fish and then pushing all of the fish into a big holding area, right? Well, it goes through the system, through this box. It gets spiked in the head immediately, so it's automatically killed, and the gills are cut. So it's killed instantaneously, and they think that this process gives them another 1 to 2 days quicker, it makes it 1 to 2 days fresher than traditional harvesting methods.
Wow.
This all started in, I checked it out, but they kind of mentioned that 2/3 of all fish harvested right now doesn't make it to a plate, that is crazy to me. And that is according to the company, but that is also according to a report from The Guardian. It was 7 years old, but that's ridiculous. And as part of this compelling case, they talk about commercial fishing operating with these legacy tools and practices that were largely unchanged for more than a century. And they actually make a pretty good comparison when they're like, hey, we're still fishing the same way we did 100 years ago. And aerospace is landing rockets with AI, autonomously and reshaping industries.
Right.
So talking about this freshness of the fish, they talk about how every fish has this store of energy and freshness the moment it leaves the water. And it kind of struggles and suffers on the boat. That energy drains away. And if it's harvested instantaneously, that energy is locked in. I know that sounds odd, but it kind of makes sense.
It's just fresher. That's a really complex and philosophical way of looking at it, but
True.
It's just fresher.
Yeah, but that fish's life force tastes better.
Sure.
And if it suffers, you'll taste it.
You will. So they believe that with robotics and computer vision, they can kind of scale this otherwise artisanal practice of harvesting fish. They are working on this fleet of Poseidon robots that harvest thousands of fish daily. They also are working on more of these units in parallel production so they can continue to be deployed to other fishing fleets. And Jeff, to your point a little bit, after Poseidon kind of harvests these fish, they're analyzing each fish automatically in real time, mapping its biological data and routing it in the supply chain. That is insane to me. They assess fish quality with industrial precision, and they say that means lower quality control costs, smarter segmentation, and a supply chain that...
Let's not get too crazy here. They're looking at how much it weighs.
Yeah.
Okay, when they talk about biological data,
Yeah.
Which is important. Okay, I understand.
Well, no, they're also looking at the health of the fish using machine vision.
Okay.
It's
still, I think the way it links to the supply chain is awesome, but let's not pretend they're
They give it a full
giving it
CT
blood pressure
scan.
and,
No, in the video I saw, they put a cuff around that fish and did the squeezy ball and took its pressure.
A fin cuff?
Yeah.
Even though it's already
Tiniest,
dead.
cutest little fin cuff.
Even though it had already been, harvested.
Yeah. Well, hey, think about how much safer those jobs fin cuffing fish will be rather than just, falling off the side.
You can't, AI
enough,
can't do that job. You ever seen AI put a cuff around a fish's fin and take its blood pressure? You never have.
No, not once. It's also a really good example of where we can potentially replace a bunch of dangerous jobs throughout the supply chain as well. That said, replacing dangerous jobs, still replacing jobs, but, dangerous jobs. Hopefully they'll pop up in other areas.
No, they should.
Yeah.
This is a robotic facility. It still employs people.
Oh, yeah. No, there's still a lot of things in their supply chain. But, it seems like, and actually there's a couple of really good interviews with the CEO out there. But it does seem like, end goal is like total lights out manufacturing, which does seem possible.
David, this is the same. To me, there was a lot of parallels to agriculture in this in terms of just making it easier, safer, and even more competitive for independent fishermen versus the big corporate fleets that are out there.
Yeah.
So, I think this offers a lot of solutions. It's not just about eliminating people from the process.
I understand that. That's just a piece of the puzzle.
I can tell by how high your voice just got there that you think you have absolute confidence in what you're saying.
You're reading way too much into that. No, that was just a playful pitch change.
You're right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another word from our sponsor, Interpower. This week's episode is brought to you by Interpower. Why pay more for power cords when you don't have to? Made in the USA, our cords are made from the best raw materials and undergo rigorous testing. Need reliable power cords? Get them with no minimum orders. Why play cord roulette with imports? We're on a roll. Tariff-free cords by Interpower. Oh, right, in case you missed it, the stories that might not have been as popular online, but still could make a big impact on the industry going forward. Anna, what do you have for us this week?
I picked a story about Ferrari, who is on the verge of revealing its exciting new first full EV. But it picked a name that's already been in use by another automaker, which is Mazda.
You can't do that.
Which is weird, yeah. So they're calling it the Luce. Mazda has marketed its own Luce for decades. According to Car Scoops, the original Luce was Mazda's flagship sedan between the 60s and the 90s, so not like a flash in the pan. They say that the badge carries so much heritage with the Mazda brand that the automaker reportedly referenced it as recently as 2017, saying that its Vision Coupe concept paid tribute to the 1969 Luce rotary coupe. So since February, Ferrari has had a Luce patent pending in Italy. Meanwhile, after Ferrari revealed the name, Mazda then filed a trademark application for Luce in Japan, suggesting that it may still carry a torch for the name. Even if Mazda patents the name only in certain markets, though, it could be enough to prevent Ferrari, as you may have guessed here, from rolling this out globally under that same name. Mm-hmm. So the question is, will Ferrari reverse course, or will they try to move forward with this name? Is Mazda trying to shake them down? Does Mazda have plans for their own Luce in the future? What's happening here? I picked this story because I can't even believe this happened.
Right?
Because it's so dumb.
Yeah.
And it's not even the first time in automotive history that a car company has copped another automaker's name that's already existed. This has happened before, apparently.
Man.
Why?
I don't know. They don't Google?
I don't get it. It's like, and also Luce, like, it's just it's so generic.
Yeah.
Like,
call it the Ferrari Saloon.
Have we really run out of vehicle names that we have to be like grabbing something that somebody already trotted out 50 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, I just thought it was dumb. And I'm disappointed that it's something we were even talking about.
Yeah.
Probably wish you missed it. Now I'm bringing it back up.
Well, Captain Wrench, who's joining us, says names get reused. Both Bentley and Lincoln made a Continental for years. But I don't understand. Like, a part of me thinks, like, is this their way of drumming up some sort of controversy to make people care or pay attention?
I mean, but it's Ferrari. Why would they do that?
That's where I keep going. Why would Ferrari even want to risk the association with Mazda?
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Or is Ferrari so can't think of the right word that they wouldn't even look into it? You know, like, well, we're Ferrari. You know, it's and they could do no wrong.
No one will mix us up.
Yeah. How would you?
True.
Yeah. I mean, how
I
do
don't
you
know.
feel about
In this day and age, man, like, got lawyers for everything.
It just seems like a headache. Like, why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you walk into that potential hornet's nest if you didn't have to? That's what. Like, what is so special about this dumb name, Luce? That doesn't even. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
like, pick something else.
True, Jeff. Do you think that Ferrari's on like firm footing, or do you think the ground underneath them is a little bit too loose? I actually got Anna's eyes to roll so much I could hear them last time. It was great. And yours too, I got a sigh. I want to remix that. I want buttons. Okay.
No, if they had it first.
Yeah.
I mean, if Mazda had it first, it's theirs.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. But to Anna's point, why do you want to mess with this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. A trademark search seems like the most basic part of rolling out a vehicle. I don't get it. But
well, you do this, who has commented.
You do this,
says, I just want to see Ferrari drug through courts, cease and desist, etc., all for the nonsensical claim of, quote, brand protection. Sound familiar? Man, you do this is just taking shots. I was very surprised by this, Anna, because I continue to be surprised by how many stories we write that could have been solved with, did you Google it? Mm-hmm. You know? Like, hey, I Googled Luce, Luce, or no, it's even spelled the same, right?
It is, but I will say this, like, it doesn't sound like Mazda had a trademark on it, so it's possible that they were like, okay, well, this is up for grabs.
That's fair.
But I with, you know, legally speaking, I don't know how it works, but it's possible that they're going to see Mazda's history with the name and give them the patent in Japan, and then it just screws a lot up. It's just a dumb path to go down.
No, I mean, I guess that is a notable point. Like, maybe Ferrari did its due diligence and they're like, yeah, looks like they just don't, it looks like we're fine. Nothing. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens and who winds up the owner of Luce. Could it be a translation thing too? Like, is it Luce and Luce or something. I don't know. Anyway, too much. Jeff, what's your in case you missed it this week?
So pick the story, a medical manufacturer targeted by Iranian hackers. This is picked up in a lot of different areas, talking about the Stryker hack. Happened middle of last week, where basically an Iranian hacker group called Handala, and this is a name we should know, okay? I think you're going to be hearing more of these guys because they've been doing a lot of nefarious stuff, and they're starting to branch now out of the Middle East and starting to target U.S. enterprise. They've made the reason that I wanted to go over this is, number one, there's a lot of stuff when we wrote the article that wasn't clear. And a lot of that stuff has been confirmed. So basically, the way they got in was through this Microsoft Intune account, which is basically a corporate tool for managing a lot of devices. So if you're handing out cell phones or iPads or whatever, tablets, this is a way that you can sort of handle all the default settings, set people up with them from a remote spot, okay? This is what they used to get in. And what they did is they basically set like 80,000 devices back to factory settings. Then they were also able to get into their network and delete something like 12 petabytes of data.
Ooh.
That's a ton.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot.
Okay.
A lot of this we didn't know at the time. That's all been confirmed. Now, the other thing is this Handala group, this was one of these groups that started out as sort of a hacktivist group where basically they were politically motivated. They were primarily focused on Israel for a lot of the different reasons that an Iranian group would go after an Israeli group. They're expanding now with everything that's going on over in the Middle East. This is the first of what they have described as numerous attacks that they're going to wage on U.S.-based enterprises. This one in particular, they're talking about the missile attack on the school. They said this was a direct response to that, but there can be more of these coming. The reason I wanted to put this out there is, number one, U.S. manufacturers should need to be alert. Like, I feel sometimes we're screaming into the desert with this cybersecurity stuff. Make absolutely no mistake. It's not by accident you're being hacked. They're coming for you. And they're not just coming for big companies like Stryker. The ones that they really love are those medium-sized manufacturers because they have to get up and running again, and they're willing to pay the ransom.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, this particular group, they were not looking for ransom here. They just wanted to create havoc.
Yeah.
They just wanted to wreak as much chaos as they possibly could. The other part is just to reset all of these 80,000 devices. Stryker is going to be paying probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million. That's just to recoup costs. That's not downtime. That's not lost data, anything else. That's just to get those devices back to where they need to so their employees can do what they have to do. Again, this is a medical manufacturing firm.
Yeah.
So the fact that they could get in here, and we know this is real because CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure and Security Agency, has also issued specific alerts talking about this group, this hack, and what manufacturers need to do in securing their endpoints. Take it serious. Yeah. This is very, very real. And these folks, again, they didn't want any money. There was no ransomware note. They just wanted to bring it down and watch it burn.
Yeah.
And they are going to go after anybody that they think is even potentially related that they can get into and create any type of supply chain havoc for any type of product category.
Yeah.
So if you are making pool liners in Kansas, they're still coming for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Well, they're still coming for you, but talk about doing so much more damage with a company like Stryker. I mean, when you're talking about medical devices, life-saving, life-maintaining, improving equipment, I mean, we've seen what happens when somebody just says like, hey, Tylenol might be bad for you. Like, if all of a sudden like, hey, a device from this company might be vulnerable, like things start to get really scary for people and they make decisions that might not be in their best interest. So, I mean, you're right. When you talk about creating havoc, I mean, they really did here. And I don't know if you had a chance to check out this story, but it was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's terrifying too. If Handala is saying that this was in retaliation for U.S. actions in Iran, I think it is a striking reminder that this is now another attack method to be deployed in a situation of war. And, it could impact any company at any time. To Jeff's point, I think you made the point well, but it's something that they may not have any interest in what you're doing. It could be completely just, like you said, to wreak havoc, to create chaos, to get back, just based on where you are located. So it's a scary time to be operating a business, especially if you don't have a plan.
Well, and Jeff, talking about seeing more of this, was it the next day, 2 days later, that Intuitive Surgical got hit? And I mean, you might not know Intuitive Surgical, but you know Da Vinci, the surgical robot. I mean, So it's I know that you're always beating the cybersecurity drum, but with good reason.
Well, yeah, the part of this too, I think people can ignore this a little bit because it was it was a data breach. It didn't get into their operational environment or anything like that. It's where it starts.
Yeah.
This is where they get in, and depending on how you've got things, they always talk about the segmentation strategy in terms of where things are cut off. Everybody hates those logins. I got to log in 3 times to get to where I want to go. This is why.
Yeah.
We can't have all this stuff so connected that it makes the hacker's job easy.
I still will always complain every time I get hit with that
We all do.
two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
It's just the worst possible time. Just like I'm trying to get into Teams. 2-factor. Jeff, I was surprised, and I'm really glad, because you were right at the forefront of this coverage. So just a great job kind of following all this. And it's the one other thing I wanted to ask was, do you think when we get these responses, and we might have talked about this previously, but when we have these responses that we're like, oh, no, it's controlled, we got it, don't worry, it wasn't a big impact. Do you think if a manufacturer like Stryker came out and went this was bad, we don't know how we're going to recover, basically maybe some of the things they might be saying behind the scenes that manufacturers might be, move a little quicker on the subject?
I've been a long proponent. The only reason, or I shouldn't say that. One of the reasons we hear about these attacks is because these are publicly traded companies. The SEC mandates that they report these things. So when we see some of these stats, and this is my own personal belief or theory, but when we hear some of these stats about attacks are going down, that is not accurate. The number of reported attacks is going down. There are so many small to mid-sized manufacturers getting hacked every single day, but because they're not a publicly traded company and because they're not designated as critical infrastructure, they're not reporting these attacks. They're paying the ransom. A lot of times they're not even able to kick the bad guys out of the system, and then they're going to get hit 6 months again. Yeah. We have to get better. We have to continue, and we have. Manufacturing's gotten a ton better from Colonial Pipeline till now. A ton of advancements have been made, but we can't stop. This is a never-ending battle.
Yeah, need to get better. I mean, if it's my pacemaker, it's critical infrastructure.
Well, if it's people making the pacemaker, that's critical infrastructure.
Yes. All right. For mine, in case you missed it, this week, I chose a story about Detroit Diesel. They're adding a shift. They're recalling workers, and I picked it because it's a targeted tariff win. So Detroit Diesel is a subsidiary of Daimler Truck North America. The company recently announced the return to a shift model, the recall of laid-off workers, and new jobs as a result. Demand is likely increasing, at least in part, due to tariffs imposed by the Trump administration late last year. On November 1st, 2025, the U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on imported medium and heavy-duty vehicles and key components. A Daimler spokesperson told me that the decision to reinstate the company's previous shift model was a, quote, planned response to growing demand. Detroit Diesel makes diesel and electric powertrains and safety systems that are exclusively on Freightliner and Western Star commercial trucks. Both of these brands are owned by Daimler. When I spoke to this spokesperson, they said, quote, following last year's slowdown in the heavy-duty truck market, increased truck volumes and strong customer preference in our integrated Detroit engines, axles, and transmissions are driving this ramp-up. Notably, commercial truck sales declined significantly last year. According to the National Automobile Dealers Association, the market saw a 13.6% decline. Now, I chose the story just because a lot of times we talk about surgical precision in key markets or niche markets where it could really make a big impact. Now, the UAW has talked about its hand in lobbying for these tariffs, but I wanted to share this story just because it seems like, at least in part, and while Detroit Diesel says that this was a sort of a planned ramp up, it does seem that the targeted tariffs really did play a role in this. Jeff, I don't know if you had a chance to check out this story, but, I thought this was a good example of what could be with a smart tariff policy.
Well, and you said it there, but we've talked about it a lot. Yeah, when it's targeted, when it's more surgical, more precise, not only does it allow for these benefits to be realized, but it also allows other people in the supply chain to anticipate what's going to be happening. When there's clarity in the whole context of what you're trying to do, People can plan better. We can forecast better. It's already, especially in the automotive and transportation markets, forecasting has become so difficult and so hard. I mean, this is a little bit easier because it's not totally consumer-based, but still, adding clarity, adding a focus to it is just, it shows the night and day differences. I mean, we ran a couple articles this week talking about one manufacturer who makes heavy-duty equipment.
Volvo?
No, I forget. It was an independent business owner down in, I think, Georgia. But anyway, he was losing money to the tune of like $100,000 a year or more, basically because the tariffs and everything that he was having to do to raise prices. And because he had to raise prices, then all of his costs went up and he wasn't selling as much, et cetera, et cetera. So it's good to see, again, where a situation where things were applied correctly had a good result.
And I don't know if you had a chance to check out this story, but I also wanted to put it on everyone's radar because this was also sort of a public-private partnership, right? I mean, Detroit Diesel received $285 million from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and the Michigan Strategic Fund, all to enable the production of these new Gen 6 engines that they're going to be making at the facility. And I thought it was also an example of, you can be calculated on the tariff side. You could also be calculated on the, let's say, quote, picking winners side as well.
Mm-hmm. I liked how the UAW completely took credit for it too.
It is in no short supply, in true. Do you have some of the quotes pulled up there? Because it's incredible.
Oh no, I don't.
I really went back and forth on, because it was a result of UAW's chest thumping that this wound up on my radar. Let me see if I can pull up Fain's quote in particular, but I don't know. I thought that this proves a good example of what could be if done right.
Yeah, and it was, Daimler said our production strategy includes built-in flexibility to respond to market conditions. That sounds like it would be a no-brainer, but it's not.
Right.
And you see a lot of companies go under when the smallest thing shifts in the wrong direction. The winds shift against them, and then they're like, sorry, we're done. We don't have a backup plan,
Yeah. No, that was that certainly stood out to me too. When they said that, and I was just like, well, everybody should be though, right? To your point, and I didn't share all of the chest thumping, but as we have grown to know, UAW President Shawn Fain, in a statement, said strategic targeted tariffs are an important tool in the toolbox to undo the damage of our free trade disaster and bring back good union jobs to the U.S. Companies like Detroit Diesel and their parent company, Daimler North America, need to step up to reinvest in the workers who make the product and stop laying off American workers while making billions in profit. We applaud this first step in the right direction. Shawn Fain, everybody.
Hey, he's a good salesman.
He's an aggressive dude.
That was the first of, I think, 3 quotes.
That article I was referencing was called "Tariffs Forcing U.S. Manufacturers to Run at a Loss." The guy's business, actually, I apologize here to Allen Engineering. It's actually in Washington, and he's just faced the $100,000 is what he actually sells a lot of his equipment for, but he's faced significant downturns in terms of the number of employees as well as margins. But it's a good, interesting sort of other side of the coin to what you were just talking about.
Next week's in case you missed it.
There you go.
All right. Before we get out of here, let's jump into our final thoughts. Anna, what's your final thought this week?
I will be out next week. I will not be on the podcast panel. It is spring break for my kids. So because spring break is next week, then this week is a very special week that any parent knows. It is called Spirit Week. And it means that every day you have to dress your kid up in a different weird way. And it wouldn't be Spirit Week without somebody crying like every day about their outfit.
They have too much spirit.
It's so much extra. It's just like oh, you got a lot of stuff happening. You dress your kid up like a character from the Ninja Turtles. Like what?
Oh yeah.
Just like on just Tuesday only. So we had some fun days though. Like dress up day, 80s day. 80s day was particularly fun.
A homemade boombox out of construction paper.
Yeah, my son made a boombox out of a cereal box.
How did they even get a reference for what it was like in the 80s?
Well, they asked a lot of questions, and I let them cut the tips off of a bunch of gloves.
Yes.
So they could wear fingerless gloves. So everybody looked pretty good. But tomorrow is pajama day. And to me, pajama day is the best day because it's the easiest. So
Slam dunk easiest. Pajama day and show and tell, but it's got to fit in the bag.
Got to fit in the bag.
I mean, no, and I was surprised. I don't know if it's because they canceled school on Monday, but like with just no Spirit Week, or I'm unaware of a Spirit Week that is currently happening.
Spirit Week was canceled. They had a one on Tuesday that was anything but a backpack day. I've never seen that one before. So it was like kids were just carrying their stuff around in like whatever.
Like an Aldi bag?
Yeah. It was funny. It was like
a laundry basket.
Yeah.
A laundry basket. Producer Eric's kids brought their stuff to school in a laundry basket.
That's anything but a backpack day. That's that's the spirit of it.
I mean, that sounds fun. I mean, and that sounds like something you don't have to go out and buy. Like, but it's like Dr. Seuss's birthday, and then the daycare used to do like a whole week of it. And so it's like, what do I do for Redfish Bluefish Day?
Yeah, I don't want to do.
I don't want to purchase things. Like, but then you don't want the kid to feel left out. I don't know. For my final thought this week, I also will be out next week, so we really got to figure that out logistically. But my final thought is
so am I.
You're out next week? Hey, so maybe in 2 weeks we'll be back.
I mean, you guys are taking vacation. I'm going to a trade show.
Oh, well, live from the trade show.
Must be nice.
So for my final thought, I was going to have a touch of outrage. So I recently, my kids and I, our entire family really enjoys the Bruce books from Disney. And this one in particular, you know, I always get like a stack of books from the library. And this one was just kind of sitting there. Bruce Saves the Planet. And I'm like, I love it because Bruce is so irascible. He's always so angry and never wants to do things. But he's forced into doing them. And then someone learns a lesson. It's great. But this one's called Bruce Saves the Planet. And as I'm reading it to the kids during dinner, like immediately you open up to the first page and it's just fume core, factory and waste production facility. And I'm like, uh-oh. Think we might be a touch on the anti-manufacturing propaganda, boys. And this entire story is basically about how Bruce just wants to go fishing because Bruce, too, only fresh caught fish, winds up at a protest, couldn't be bothered with the protest, but they're protesting fume core because, you know, it's going to ruin the environment. And then he gets pushed into, when he gets pushed into this phony protest, he actually says that they need to rush town hall, and then they go to town hall, realize that the government is doing nothing. So so we get bad actor manufacturer, we get terrible media, and then we get useless politicians, all in a nice little box. and I was just kind of beside myself because I was like, all right. I normally love how Bruce doesn't want to do anything, but basically he's just like, ugh. And when he says he doesn't want to do things, it winds up advancing the story. But, you know, sometimes when we talk about getting stuck in our own bubble with manufacturing, you think that maybe we're doing a little better in terms of like mainstream penetration as being good corporate citizens in a good industry to work in. And then you read Bruce Saves the Planet. And, you know, manufacturing is fume core, which is going to ruin the stream, which, spoiler alert, gets renamed as a result. Bruce Wildland Park. And they really tried to shoehorn in, you know, the terrible manufacturing industry, saving the planet, and, you know, how the media is evil and government's dumb. A lot going on in this one. But this was the exact reaction I had at the dinner table. And Des and Caden were beside themselves. And I could just hear Carrie in the kitchen, like, giggling, just because I'm like, I can't believe this. It's not fume core anymore everywhere. But I just wanted to say that, hey, Bruce, do better. All right. Normally winners, but we don't need your anti-manufacturing propaganda infecting the minds of our youth. And I don't know if you had I dropped it on your desk. Did you read it?
I did read it. Yep.
Yeah. Did you get the same?
I didn't take it quite as seriously as you did, but I think that's typical.
Yeah. When David said, what was your term? A touch of hostility.
Yeah.
I've never seen you react to anything with a touch. Or a small amount of emotion.
It's like a touch of hostility, some phoned in outrage. No, like, I understand that, but it was just, I'm sorry. Every once in a while, something is so ridiculous that I have to share with my friends. But I mean, come on, Anna. They leaned in a little bit. Fume Corporation. Jeff, did you?
I did not get a chance to peruse that. I'm not familiar with Bruce.
Yep.
We're in a little bit different place.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Bruce is just, he just wanted to go fishing, man.
Appreciate that.
What's your final thought this week?
Well, I'm in a different place with my kids. They were home for spring break this weekend. They gave us like an actual day and a half where they hung out with us.
Yay.
Oh.
So they bullied me in Monopoly one night. And we were playing that in the playroom. And the comment was made that, Dad, we're pretty much done with this room. This could be yours now. So I've got to come up with some plans.
Ooh, playroom plans.
Yes. So if anybody's got any ideas, what's the thing that you would want in you guys are decades away from this, but if you could transition the kids' playroom, what is one thing that you would want to put in there?
Is this like where the man cave that like moves from the garage to the actual home?
Well, I've never been one that really wanted or needed a man cave, but now that I've got this room that I could potentially make my own.
Is it on the main floor?
It is.
So it's not really a man cave location?
Right.
Yeah.
Man den?
But if you're going to put something in there, don't even look at it that way. Just
Yeah.
once you reclaimed that space.
Yeah. Oh, no, finally having your own space to do something. How much judgment am I going to get from my signict other as a result of this installation?
How much judgment are you going to get from us when you say what it is?
Yeah.
I'll go second. What would you do, Anna?
I would make maybe a reading room, like something with some.
I thought she was going to say
How
that.
did you guys know?
I thought it was
all right,
going to
we've
be.
known each other a long time. That's fine.
There's going to be a library, I guess.
Yeah, like some nice books and like a really nice armchair and
and like a coffee.
Yeah, like a little table that you put your coffee on. You could have tea if you wanted to. That's up to you.
This is surprising.
Yeah.
The only thing that's left out is maybe if your husband wasn't allergic, maybe you'd have a cat on your lap or something like that.
I'll have a dog on my
You could
lap.
have some sort of beverage, and it could be carpeted, and you could enjoy that beverage without any fear of that beverage getting spilled on the carpet while reading a book. That'd be amazing.
Except my dog would knock it over.
Oh, true.
Because he does that.
Producer Eric says it's going to be a full arcade console. Turn it into a full arcade. Oh yeah. Oh,
one of them.
The full cabinets.
Oh yeah, you could have
cabinets.
like a golden tea in there, and yeah.
Do you want to guess what mine would be?
I would like to hear you say it.
Yeah, it would be basically a media room if the media stopped at 98.
Oh, your DVD shelf?
Yeah. No, VHS. I would have my VHS library on one wall, DVD library on another wall, all the 8-tracks, cassettes, and records on another wall, and it would be Big Daddy's analog media room, and it would be locked. There would be no windows because I don't need to see.
This just gets weird.
No,
weirder and weirder.
because anytime, because I can already feel the eyes anytime my significant other walks past this room. I don't need to see him. That's all.
I am gonna tip her off to this. I'm gonna send her this clip so she knows what you're thinking about.
Just hey, he has plans for that toy room.
Yeah, don't let him get a foot in the door.
Beware.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
You guys will see in about 2 years.
Yes.
Oh man, shuffleboard. How long is that?
That's too long.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Deer heads, fish,
Yeah.
taxidermy room.
Oh man,
I have never wanted that stuff.
Yeah.
Like any of it. Even fish. I've never.
I never had the I never caught a fish that big. And then I showed you the crappie that I recently caught, and I landed this crappie out of the ice hole, and my brother immediately goes, "You should mount that." And it was this 30 seconds where I was just I don't know, am I the mounted fish kind of guy? Do I just? And he's like, "We're just gonna put it back in the hole. Then you just calm down." Well, Jeff, I am excited to see what happens and enjoy some good times there. Keep Monopoly in there.
They're so mean to me. They're so mean to me.
Sounds like you're just bad at it.
Do you play the one with the debit card, or is it old school with paper?
No, old school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
They gang up on me, and it's just not fair.
I see. Oh man,
Every time.
and the Jeff in this argument would be like, "Well, Jeff, that's capitalism."
Yeah, that's fair.
It's true.
I taught them well.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. If you want to email us, you can reach us at Anna, Jeff, or David at IEN.com with email the podcast in the subject line. You can also subscribe to our daily newsletter. Make sure you get it delivered to your inbox first. And join us on YouTube at IEN Magazine so you can join us in the You Do Disses and the Doug Hatches and the Joshes of the world as we mix it up every Thursday. All right, for Jeff Reinke and Anna Wells, I'm David Manti. This is the Today in Manufacturing podcast, and we will see you next week.